think. And he legally changed his name to Cooper Sachs, but I don't know like I don't remember what his full name was before he transitioned. But his cisgender name is his first name is Nancy. I don't remember his last name. I don't remember. But I know that he got it legally changed to Cooper Sachs. And it's in his file. And I just remember his family members kept disrespecting him and making fun of him and calling him Nancy. And I just feel like that was very disrespectful. Like saying she, and I was like, man, that's very disrespectful. That's very disrespectful. Like they were very disrespectful towards him. I really did not like that at all. But that's just a prime example of people's intolerance towards transgender people. Is they either call you by your cisgender identity, or they refuse to acknowledge whatever pronouns that you want to be acknowledged as. They'll call you what you don't want to be called as. Like, for example, for me, it's not the same situation because I'm a transgender woman and they still call me she, her, like all that. Like they call me that, like ma'am, miss, mama, like very, very disrespectful. And I specifically told people that I want to be acknowledged as he, him, sir, mister, whatever. Like I made that clear. But because I look like a woman and because they're transphobic and judgmental, they still call me mama, ma'am, intentionally to piss me off. And I've told them multiple times to please stop doing that. And they have violated my boundaries. And because they're in a position of power to where they have that access, that's what they continue to do. Every day. Mama, ma'am, miss. And they do it in that way where, it's clear that they have authority, like they have power, but they're abusing it and they're intentionally trying to invoke a reaction so that they can feed off of it, or so that, they can block me and stop me from moving forward with my life. They do that to irritate me. I just hope that the universe will remove them at some point to where they don't have that access anymore. Because I feel like I'm being harassed way too much to where I feel like once they get out the way, I feel like all that intolerance should be out of the way. It should be, because I've gone through it enough. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's gone too far. It's gone far enough. And I feel like they've already made their point, and it's time for this connection to end. But because they're so desperate, they keep doing everything in their power to keep the connection going. And I don't know, the way things are looking, I may be put in a position to where I may have to defend myself physically because of their aggressiveness. Like they're being so aggressive, I may actually have to attack one of them. Because they're I don't know, they keep touching me, they keep violating me, they keep following me around the store, they keep, touching me inappropriately, they keep, they're putting me in that situation where they're making me feel like this is a life or death situation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in no means, I do not want to take matters into my own hands. That's not my plan, but they're getting so aggressive that they're making me feel like I'm going to have to, use self-defense just to get them to stop, or to prevent them from, not to prevent it, but say just in case things escalate, which there's no 100% guarantee depending on how things escalate. I guess it's a higher power to determine, but the way that it's escalating, I may have to use brute force to get them to back off, because they're getting way too aggressive, and it's starting to become very concerning. Because it would be one thing if it was just me, but I'm carrying a child, and they keep, every time I cross the street, even though there's the whole walk signal and everything, there's a car that keeps violating my right-of-way rights. Because I'm a pedestrian, right? So say if I cross the street, right? You see that sign where the light is right here? Say if there's a street light right there, right? And then it says it has the walk symbol on the light. So I'm crossing over. Here I am crossing over the street. And then there's a car at that light. And it turns right. And it's clear that I'm crossing the street, right? Like everybody can see me. And it's starting to become a point to where it's clear that they're trying to run me over on purpose and make it look like an accident. Because they're so desperate. Because when I cross the street, I am very cautious. Just in general, for my safety, you know, a car is stronger than my physical body. So I have no interest on trying to race a car past the street. I have no interest in, you know, putting myself in harm's way. I'm not trying to road rage or nothing. So when I see that walk symbol, I always look both ways before I cross the street. Always, to make sure that there's no car coming. Then as soon as I cross the street and I get to about right here, right? So I'm like halfway through the middle lane. There's a car that'll turn the corner, speeding, violating my pedestrian right-of-way, and whoop, try to hit me. Almost every single time I cross the street. I mean every day, every single time I cross the street. Like, this feels strategic. Like, basically block my finances, block my resources, so that I cannot get on the bus, so I have to walk, right? Then when I'm on the sidewalk and I'm peacefully walking the sidewalk, somebody will sneak up behind me. So say I'm my middle finger and the gang stalker is my index finger, and I'm walking up the street and they're walking up behind me like this, and then they get closer like this, and then this, and then zoom, they get right past me. Sometimes they'll walk past me, sometimes they'll walk like this, and they'll be walking behind me like that for like 5, 10, sometimes 15 minutes at a time, and I won't say anything. I'll just let it go. And I'm like, you know what? If I keep turning and beating into it, I'm letting them win. I just gotta trust the universe, that the universe will protect me. So I just stopped looking. Because every time I'd walk down the sidewalk, there was someone pacing behind me, and they would be like within this amount of distance behind me. Every day. Or sometimes it'd be 2, 3, 4 people walking behind me like that. And at first I used to look, you know, just to like make sure that they're not trying to attack me. Or I would just look and I'm like, okay, well, they don't have a knife out, they don't have a gun out, so I'm just gonna walk away peacefully. Because every time I fed into it, then they would do it more, and then they would bring more people. So I just ignored it. I'm like, universe, I know you're gonna protect me no matter what. I'm gonna let you handle it, and I just keep walking. And then from then on, I stopped looking behind me unless they like touch me on my shoulder or on my back, or they bump me. Then I'll look. But most of the time, if I feel somebody walking behind me, I just ignore it. I try not to feed into it, because I'm just trying to be peaceful, mind my business, keep it going, let a higher power handle it. That's it. Whatever happens after that, that's up to a higher power to decide. But I try not to engage. I try not to engage because it just makes things worse. It fuels their fire. It makes them want to act like that even more. So I just let it go, and I just try to let it go, and you know, let them do whatever they want to do. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's times where things didn't turn out well for me, like I got stabbed and I got shot. But I mean, this is what happens when, you know, people violate your boundaries. It's not that I haven't set my boundaries, it's they're being violated. And my supporters know that. My supporters know I'm being ganged up on. My supporters know that they're dominating me. My supporters know that they're intentionally trying to get a rise out of me, and that they're, you know, making death threats and harassing me and mispronouncing me and intentionally starting stuff with me and talking about me when I'm right there, talking around me. Like, even times where they would talk trash about me, right, and it's negative, I would just get up and walk away. Like, I wouldn't have an attitude. Just calmly get up, walk away peacefully, and move on. Then they start following me down the street again, like I said. I guess they just trying to get, they're really, because they're in that parasitic energy, so they're like trying to feed and feed and feed, you know what I mean? So if they're talking trash about me, and I just say, you know what, I don't want to give anybody any problems by getting mad, starting drama, so I'm just gonna get up and I'm gonna walk away. I'll maybe go take a walk, or go do something, or just go somewhere else. And then they would start hounding me down the street. They would start hounding me on the bus. Every time I get on the bus, they're on the bus. Every time I go somewhere, they somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Every time they just follow me everywhere I go. And it's getting to the point where it's starting to become a public disturbance. Their behavior is becoming a public disturbance, but a lot of them are not listening to my supporters. They're not listening to some of the people who are wanting them to stop are people that are like maybe like family or friends. Some of them even support my gang stalkers, and they're starting to notice, man. Even their own people are turning on them. It's like, you're harassing her too much, you're doing too much, leave her alone, stop harassing, it's just people just keep warning them, and they won't they just get, I feel like the more support that I have accumulated because of maybe I have I feel like the universe guides people to do the right thing at the right time. That's first and foremost. I also feel like the universe has guided people to come my way because of like morals or stuff like that, divine guidance. But I also feel like, some people have told me that they liked the way I handled the situation. Maybe they felt like they liked how I operated. They liked how I stood up for myself. They liked how I expressed myself, and they respected me like that. And I feel like, a lot of people have their different reasons. Maybe they've experienced the same thing, and they decided that it was best for their morals that they team up with someone who understands what they've been through. And I've done the same. I met some people who went through the same thing I went through, and I support them, they support me, and we have each other's back. It's just that simple. And it kind of just grew from there. Like the support that I have, it grew from like mutual experience to people respecting that I stood my ground, and they showing support. Some people support it, have my back because it's clear the racism that they express. Some people are LGBT allies or members, and they don't like the transphobia that I've experienced, and it makes them uncomfortable. Maybe they have a family member that is LGBT, or maybe they're LGBT themselves, and they don't like how I'm being treated, and they're like, well, if you're treating her like that, how do I know you're not gonna treat me like that, kind of situation. And sometimes it's just their morals. It's just like, okay, like you know what I'm saying, and I'm in my head, I'm thinking, they doing too much. So if I'm thinking that, and other people that are witnessing are probably thinking that, we have something in common. So yeah, no, the support has increased majorly, like ever since I told my story. The support that I've received, I did not see that coming. Like, words cannot express how much I appreciate the support. Like, I'm so used to being dominated and bullying, and that being my only experience. Like, whoever supported me and had my back, the people that were gang stalking me, like the bullies, they would hurt that person, and then they would hurt me, and they would hurt us both, sometimes at the same time, sometimes one after the other, and we would be forced apart. We would be forced apart to where if they tried to reach out to me, like our lives were in danger. Or if I tried to reach out to them, same outcome. So it was like, dang, we're being forced to separate from each other because the bullies are dominating my entire life. Like, anyone that tried to like get close to me, well, at least before I told my story, it was very dangerous. Like, it was very dangerous. Like, we both were probably, if I didn't tell my story, we both probably would have been slain. But ever since I told my story, I feel like, you know, the universe is protecting and guiding all the people that support